All right. Hello, hello. Listen, last week was boring. Okay. I just want to start with that. Like, I bored myself. However, tonight's topic is going to explain some of why that was so boring. I promise you it was boring. You don't even need to go back and watch it. I mean, if you really, really like listening to me talk, um, I'm not going to say any bad comments about myself. I just worked on that today, but then you could check it out. But however, tonight, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. So you got to pay attention right up in here. If you are really, 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 really want to have a life you love, but you struggle with fear, and you struggle with releasing the past and all of the stories that you keep telling yourself around why you don't have this or what somebody else did or any of that, that's where we're going tonight. And so I really deeply want everyone to share this video. So let me see here. I'm just going to type this, even though the clicking is very loud, so I can put it on the screen. Share this, share this, share this, and I need to be sharing more. So that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight. Um, Tonight, I'm going to share with you some tools that I have used that really pushed me forward, and I need to share more about the tools that I use. It's just that they belong to other people, and then in some ways, I'm still working through certain things myself, and so I never want to share anything when I'm in the middle still and haven't resolved it. But this was put in my heart today because it also ties to me and my challenges that I continue to have in terms of really making sure that I love like my entire life. Okay. So I took a class on spiritual abundance. This is my second year taking it in a row. And the class was earlier this year, but I'm doing the replays. I'm doing the 40-day process again. And one of the things that came up today, and I love doing this because you hear things you didn't necessarily hear the first time. And I plan to repeat it again this year, maybe even once a quarter. And the thing that we worked on today was fear of success. And I've known for a long time that I don't have a fear of failure. I have a fear of success. I have a fear what happens if everything goes well. I'm grateful to know I'm not alone, just by virtue of the fact that that was the topic, and that was some of the work that we did was around really removing those fears from the body. Lets me know other people face the same thing. And so even if you're a person that thinks you have a fear of failure, there's something tied in there around success too. And this is something I've known for years, I've dealt with for years, even going back to when I was in college and choosing a major. I felt like, oh, I thought I really wanted to be a pediatric nurse. And I was really nervous about even trying that because I felt like, you know, I was worried that the coursework was going to be too hard. I've never wanted to push myself. And I'm at a stage in my life right now where it's like, you got more years, behind you than in front. If there was ever a time to push yourself, it's now. And so that's why I've picked up new hobbies. I'm backpacking, I'm camping. I don't have to wait until I'm fit to start hiking and backpacking. I can do that now. Um, and the other impact that the fear of success had was when I initially launched this channel, this YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and I was doing like the health coaching, which was not my love. Um, the specific coaching I was doing was not my love. I prefer a format more like this, or I could see myself maybe doing some group classes again or something like that on a more lifestyle related topics and general well-being. However, I as I started the channel, people love food. Okay, like if I was cooking right now, I would always have more people watching, 100%. And so that was something that I was trying to do, like using the food to grow my audience and that sort of thing. But it's not really my passion and love, especially now. I really do just kind of eat to live, and I enjoy it. I enjoy my food, but I'm not, and I'm a great teacher, but it's just not something I want to do often. And so My point is, though, as my channel started growing, the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, and I'm not at all big time, which actually made this fear worse. As my page started growing, more people knew who I was, and I remember I was viewing a home just to rent. I think this was after I came back from Colombia. We were viewing a home, and when we walked up, a lady that I did not know walked out and was like, "Coach K, oh my goodness!" And she knew who I was. I don't know who these people are who love the adoration of somebody calling their name, and there are people who would hear me say this and wouldn't believe me. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I hated not having anonymity. I hated someone I didn't like. I don't want to use the word hate. It sounds so harsh. I didn't like that someone knew who I was. I felt very seen, and it was really alarming, and it kind of caused me to retreat even more. I just realized this is not, it's not what I felt like I wanted. However, the problem is, I'm sorry, my face is itching. I don't want to look weird, but that's what it is. Um, the nature of my gift requires me to do what I'm doing right now. Listen, God didn't tell me it was so 5 million people will watch me one day, 5,000, even 500, or even 50. I just know that I am supposed to share. I am a sharer. However, I don't enjoy the spotlight. Um, my main Facebook page got disabled in fall of 2023, ironically, right before my father's birthday. I just changed my profile picture to a picture of he and I, and my page was disabled due to a hacker, and I couldn't get it back to this day. And at first, of course, the addiction is real, right? I was so devastated about it, but it really has been a blessing. It allowed me to kind of reinvent myself. I went through a lot of toxic, you know what, during that time, and back where my mind was then, I would have been oversharing. I would have been oversharing, and it would have been forever on the record. Some of the thoughts, some of the experiences, all the drama that was happening, and so it's been a blessing to come back in a more healed mindset, come back and be free of giving a hot damn what anybody thinks about my life, my choices, who I am now, any of that. And so it turned out to be a real gift that I'm grateful for. And now I'm back on here and working through these fears, which I'm still working to identify what exactly am I afraid of in terms of being successful? I mean, I wouldn't mind the money. You know, we always think that, but I'm a person who always wanted to have the money, but have a quiet life and nobody knew who I was and what I was doing and all of that. Especially when I was health coaching, I ran into someone else in the grocery store. And what's the first thing they did? Look into my cart. What is she eating? Right? What is she doing? And I even had a male client, y'all, once who was like, I think I posted that I went somewhere and had a veggie burger and there was ketchup with the fries. And I used to make my own ketchup. And he saw it and sent me a message and said, "Well, I guess I'll have a soda today." And I thought, so you're gonna injure your body because you see me having some ketchup? No, and I didn't want that responsibility. And I ended up kind of balling all that together and running from the entire problem. But we're not going to do that anymore. Okay. So there's two things I'm going to share with you. One, I'm going to share a tool with you that you can use when you are trying to conquer or working through a very specific fear. And then I'm going to share with you some tools on self forgiveness. And somehow these two are going to connect. I know this because the Holy Spirit gave me these two things to talk about earlier today. And I think it's going to come together. And hopefully, I'm not going to be before you long because I have some other things to do this evening. So let me get the first document up that I want to share with y'all as an example. Okay, there's that. And I'm going to show these to you. If you want to, you can get a piece of paper or get ready to take a screen share. I'm being very vulnerable here with these shares, which is my custom. And I don't have any qualms about that, you know. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And let me find the pictures that I just took. I'm going to share my entire screen. How about that? Can I do that? Yep. Okay. So now I can pull this up. All right. So let me check and make sure you guys can see that. If anybody's there, you can tell me. But I think so, based on what I'm seeing here. Hold on. I'm going to just check really quickly on my Facebook page. Make sure that this is coming through. Yep. Okay, great. Okay. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Oh, that's too big. That's too big. Hold on. All right. So hopefully you can see this, but I'll walk you through it. So this is called mind mapping. Okay. This is called mind mapping. You can find a lot of videos on YouTube about mind mapping. I promise you, there is so much energy and release that comes from writing certain things down. I should have shown you this book first. Did I bring it over here? Well, no, it's over there. I after my divorce, or as I was kind of processing through my divorce, I picked up this sketchbook at Target that has nothing but blank, huge pieces of just blank paper. I've never been a blank paper type of person. As a child, I loved paint by number. Just tell me where to put it, and then it's going to be perfect. And so even me buying a blank sketch pad at the age of 50 was brand new. And one of the things I use it for is just brainstorming. Sorry, my son is talking outside. I'm doing a live right now, Zion. So sorry about that. One of the things that has been really helpful for me is just dumping my brain out onto paper, and helping me kind of sort through all of my thoughts. And you could use this with your therapist if you have one. So in the middle is whatever the fear is. Okay. And this was, as I'm getting a divorce, I have these relationship fears. I had another one on divorce specifically as well, but I decided to share this one instead. And so what I determined is that, what these lines are that go out on the side is like, what are all of the areas of fear? Okay. And so these were different things that I wrote. I'm going to get my hopes up. It's not going to work out. I'm wasting my time here. Just different things that I was kind of paranoid about. Living in misery. I'm scared that, I'm going to get stuck in something and hate it, that I'm abandoning myself, and fear of getting played again. Like that is a big thing that you have when you're single, right? And then let me show you this one just for comparison. Work fear as well is a big one. See, can I make this a little bit bigger, that you may have, especially in this current climate? You might be worried about, oh, that's not getting bigger. I'll just make it 25% because I think, I can move around. Here we go. You may be worried about losing your job. You might be worried about making a change in your career. You might be worried about advancing. There's any number of things. And I have been through 4 layoffs in the past 25 years. So some of y'all have had the same job that entire time, or big chunks of time. The longest I've ever had the same job was 6 years. And then I was laid off. And I was laid off right after a promotion. I didn't even last a year in the promotion, and I hadn't done anything wrong, but it's given me so much work trauma that things like, for example, yesterday, my boss messaged me and told me that, hey, I'll be in Atlanta this week. Come to the office. Oh no, I'm getting fired. That's where I go right away. Right away. Someone who's never been through a layoff before, they wouldn't be thinking that, at all. But for me, having gone through it so many times, and honey, there's a story associated with each layoff. I have a story there. And so because of those layoffs, I'm easily triggered. I quit a job one time because I was left off of a meeting invite and thought I was going to get laid off. And so I went out and got another gig and quit, and then found out that it was an oversight. Okay. But the new job paid a lot more. I have no regrets. Okay. It actually put me on a whole new path. So risks can work out, but I dealt with the work fear. And so I put work fear in the center. And then another way to look at it is, what is the what, the who, the why, where, and then how. Okay. So I'll slow walk this one. With the work fear, where do I feel it in my body? I feel the pressure, like I did when I got that ping from him saying come to the office. All of a sudden I feel like dread and anxiety rose up in my body. How? What triggers this? A lot of responsibility, many meetings, decisions. I can't read the rest of my handwriting. Staff problems. I did this maybe 2 years ago. I had a lot of imposter syndrome. This was my dream role. I felt inadequate. The role had and continues to have a ton of ambiguity. Like, I know what I'm responsible for, but there's all these gray areas and it's kind of loosey goosey. I don't really love that. I prefer to know these are the exact things that I am responsible for, which I have that. But then there's all this other stuff that feels like I should be doing that. And because of the level I'm at, it's not really, you're not really asking permission, you're asking forgiveness. You just have to step out there and do stuff. If you don't, well, one of my girlfriends, who's a wonderful career coach for me, hey, Dory, said to me, the 1, 2, 3s you should be doing on your own. It's the 4, 5, 6 level stuff. That's when you involve your boss. Like, you approach it like, hey, I have an idea. I'm thinking about doing this, whatever. You're not asking him, hey, boss, what should I work on today? Can you help me prioritize? I mean, you can ask about the prioritization, but you need to come with the idea and you're just asking him to check the box. So that was challenging for me at first. What is it? Fear of failure. Definitely still have the failure. Well, I have the fear of failure and success career wise. Fear of inadequacy, the leadership responsibility, and then just acknowledging to myself that I'm not fully organized as much as I should be. Something I'm still working on, but I know I'm not alone. Getting better. Why? Why do I have this fear? Past layoffs, negative bosses. I've had some really toxic bosses, y'all, including at the beginning of my career, I had a boss named Georgia. I was an admin assistant, and she told me once. Now, mind you, I was an admin assistant, but I had learned all these systems. And I learned this stuff in the late 90s when there was no Google, Chat, GPT, et cetera. So I have a real low tolerance for people who can't teach themselves how to use Microsoft Office when there's YouTube and there's almost too much information. When I taught myself by clicking on every button in 1995, 96, clicking every button because I told them I knew how to do this already. What's under file? What's under edit? What's under view? Hey, I had to eat. You know what I'm saying? I had to feed my daughter. So I'm going to figure it out. And so my point is that, oh boy, now see, I lost my point. This is what happens when you get to this age. So anyway, the Georgia, the negative boss. Let's wrap that up here. So she came to me once and she was like, we would pay you more, but your skills are here. I'll never forget this. Here, and we really need them to be here. Yeah. And I was doing her work. I was doing things and sending them to her. And then she was presenting it as her own. But she had the nerve to say my skills were. I was like, what? I got another job. I mean, I guess I'm a canceler. I'm a leaver. I don't know, a leaver. But I quit not too long after that and got a great job. I had a great manager for a while who has a huge role in my current success. All right. So we went through all of these, the what, the who, me, I'm an imposter, I'm inadequate. Why, where do I feel this in my body? I feel pressure. I feel anxiety. I feel all these things. The how, what triggers this? We talked about that, right? One of the other whys was I had a fear of my team not performing because then that affects me as a team leader, all of those things. And so I would strongly encourage you to grab a screenshot of this, get some blank paper. And if you are a person who struggles with fear, You cannot design a life you love and also be trapped by fear. Okay? Because what's going to happen is, as soon as you are presented with an opportunity to do something, have something, be something, even if it's in alignment with your dream life, you're going to talk yourself out of it right away. You're going to abandon it right away. Oh, that's not, I can't do that. I can't. You're going to do all of that. Um, and so this is just one of several things. Some of the other tools I'm learning, I'm not seasoned in them enough to teach you guys. And it also could, I'm not ready to do any of that additional work. But if you start here, at least you're identifying what it is you're afraid of. At least you're bringing that fear up, to be more aware that you're challenged in this area. And again, you can use the mind mapping for anything from a work fear, relationship fear, marriage fear. You could use it around your children. What's the who, what, where, and why? Just doing this exercise is going to help you calm your body down. Just doing this exercise will support your anxiety. I promise you that. And I'm not talking about clinical anxiety where you need medication. And I'm not even saying that you may do this and still not need that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I have found this tool to be really helpful, because anxiety most of the time, and it presents as its problems, for not most of the time, for me, let me put it that way, and some of you, anxiety is your body trying to solve an unsolvable problem. Your body knows that you're fearful of things that are outside of your control, and so it's just spinning, 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 spinning. This helps me a ton. As soon as I'm done with this, I feel lighter already. And so I would encourage you, draw your circle, write your lines. What's the who, what, where, why around a fear that you have? It doesn't even have to be fears, y'all. You can use the mind mapping for any challenge that you're trying to solve, but I use it for conquering and working through my fears. Okay. So I hope this tool is helpful. Really do. And now I'm going to stop sharing for now. And then I'm going to bring up the self-forgiveness work. So let's see, Holy Spirit, why did you tell me these two things? What does one have to do with the other? Well, especially if you're a person of age, anybody who has braids knows why I'm doing this. It's itching really bad, and I need to have the front redone. But if you're a person who is challenged by fear, and you want to design a life you love, that means typically you've spent a ton of time doing other things, and you may feel that there's time that you wasted. And I want to encourage you that you haven't wasted any time. You haven't wasted any time. Even the mistakes that you made are just lessons. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in my own spiritual journey, is that nothing is wasted. And also, if you focus on the lessons, you will stop beating yourself up as much about the poor choice or the choice in error. And then you may even begin to ask yourself, was the choice in error? Was it even a bad choice? And so we're going to do some self-forgiveness. I'm going to show you guys a worksheet as well as the website where you can get it yourself. Love this lady. I would recommend her for coaching, which I haven't done yet, but I do want to investigate having her as a coach to take me through the worksheet herself, to work with her on it. I would love to do that, but it's a very important step to realize that there are no mistakes. Me marrying the person that I married twice was not a mistake. There were lessons there that I would not have gotten any other way. And even when something feels like a mistake, you still can't do anything about it. It's over now. So the best thing you can do is forgive yourself and move on. All right. So let me get this site up to share. Ready to share. I'm going to show you where it is, and then see, did I pull up the actual? Yes, I have the worksheet ready to go. All right. So let me share this site. Okay, so you guys should be able to see this now. This website right here, and you can really just type in radicalforgiveness.com or .org, and that will take you to this site, Radical Forgiveness, and she has free tools here on all sorts of things, and that's why I wanted to show this to you guys, so that you could see the tools that are available, all of the tools, and not just the sheet that I'm talking about. Okay. I haven't done any of these others, and I'm so grateful that the Holy Spirit reminded me of this, because I've done this worksheet before around a situation, definitely saw quick results. One of the things that she says in the courses that I attended where I heard her is that all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. All forgiveness is self-forgiveness. You don't have to agree with that. That's okay. It resonated with me. And one of the reasons why I love it. So let me pause. Let me slow my brain down here, Cara. We think forgiveness is somebody did this wrong to me, so I need to forgive them. But what she showed me that I agree with is that I'm forgiving myself for what I allowed you to do to me in most cases, right? There are some situations where that wouldn't apply, but even if a person doesn't do something directly to me, let's say they do something to their loved one, I still allowed myself to have certain feelings of anger or resentment or whatever it is around that. And self-forgiveness allows me to work through the issue and forgive myself for everything that I've ever tolerated in my life, which includes for me, like some of my limiting beliefs around myself, my abilities, the low self-worth that I've dealt with since I was a child. And forgiving myself opens me up now to loving myself, to accepting myself and the best parts of me and who I really am, and acknowledging and patting myself on the back when I've done good work or good things. And so I just strongly recommend it. So this is the one we're going to do, this radical self-forgiveness, self-acceptance worksheet. We're not going to do it. I'm going to walk you through it. And then there's another worksheet over here, radical forgiveness. And then down here, there's something on money consciousness, a story of healing with radical forgiveness, right there. And then there's something in here about marriage for those of you who are challenged in that area, how she brought her marriage back from the brink. And then radical manifestation, that may be a yay or nay for some of you, depending on your belief system. 5 stages of radical forgiveness. So there's some really great tools out here, and radicalforgiveness.org is the website. Well, I don't think I can download this. I don't want to download it when I already have it, but let me see here if this is going to show me the sheet or... Yeah, okay, I have to complete the details. You complete these details, and then you'll get the download. Oh, I didn't realize it didn't navigate over here. But anyway, you have to fill out a little form, and then you get the information by email. But I don't think they email you, because I don't think I've gotten anything from them, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right, let me stop sharing that, and then I'm going to share the actual worksheet itself, and we'll look at that a little bit, and then we will get on out of here. Oh, okay. I have to share my screen again. I wish it would let me share this PDF directly, but I'm just going to have to share the whole screen. Okay. I don't know what this looks like when I screen share that, but I'm hoping you guys can see this. I have to play around with this some more. Let me go take that back down. Yes, here we go. Okay. So you put the date up there, and when you download this, save a blank copy, please. And then it's because you're going to need it. You can use it for all different situations. Okay. So you're going to want to reuse this. Now, this is what I'm offering when you do this. Don't just, don't rush through it. You can print it out. As you can see, it's fillable right here on the screen. Light a candle for yourself. Create a relaxing environment. Make sure you're alone. And really, really, really be thoughtful with this. You know, if you really want to do the work, it takes work, y'all. You're not going to get to a life that you love without some work. And you know, you can try to mask it in all kinds of ways, but you will know that you still need to do the work because it will keep repeating and keep repeating in your life and keep repeating. And so if you're here and you're listening to this, you may realize that you need to do some self-work around this, self-forgiveness, accepting yourself. This is a key part of conquering those fears and being able to lean into, what do I really want? We talked about that at the beginning of the month in week 1. What do you want? What do you really want for yourself? If you remove all limitations, what you were taught was okay, anything around religion, your abilities, your education, if you take all those labels off, what do you actually want? And there is some additional work that you have to do to get to that, which includes self-forgiveness and accepting yourself. Okay. So light a candle, have a beverage of whatever choice. I'm not judging you. And then sit with yourself and work through these questions. I am a person who rushes myself. If I feel like I don't have the right answer for this right away, I'll just keep scrolling or whatever, or go do something else. No, no, no. I want you to slow down and take your time. What am I blaming myself for? I blame myself for my children all the time and how I feel like my children could be different or better, etc. Had I done different choices, right? I could do that right now, but I don't want to start crying. I don't want to start crying on here. But what am I blaming myself for? And what I hear my judging self saying to me about it is, so that first sentence, that first part of the sentence, you need to pause on that. What am I blaming myself for? And what I hear my judging self saying to me about it is. All right, so I'm going to start with that one. I'm going to go ahead and give just a little bit on that. I'm blaming myself for my children, for my adult children, and for my son as well. And what I hear my judging self saying to me about it is, you prioritized your marriage and then you neglected your children. You didn't give your children enough. And I could even as I'm sitting here thinking about that even more, maybe I wasn't wrong to prioritize the marriage, but I didn't balance it. Like I didn't, there were many moments, way too many evenings where in my attempts to avoid the person I was married to, I also stayed away from the children because he would be with the children a lot. And so I said, this is my opportunity to take time to myself because I was not fulfilled at all in the relationship. And so I would avoid it and just be in my room all the time. I mean, if he could be a fly on the wall, like I'm all over the place now. I'm just totally, I'm not hiding from anything anymore, but I tend to have recurring guilt that I didn't sow into them more, and especially with my second two. So enough about that. So I hear my judging self saying to me, well, your daughters would have both finished college on time if you'd given them more attention. They would have done this if you'd given them more attention and been more involved in their schoolwork and, filled out the forms for them. And instead you just buried your head in the sand and said, well, I'm doing enough. Let him figure that out. Right. This is the constant narrative that I'm doing this live and realizing I have a lot of work to do around this. And so I would put that in here. The way I feel about myself with regard to this situation or in general, I need to list those feelings. And you, listen, this is for you. No one else needs to see it. So be honest with yourself. One of the things that she said when she taught this is, when you complete this, especially, let's say, for example, it's about a relationship and you're forgiving yourself for allowing a person to treat you a certain type of way. She said either the person is going to change or go away. But nothing is going to stay the same after you do this. Either the situation will change or it's going to go away. That's what happens as a result of this process. But you got to slow down, you got to be with your thoughts, you have to be honest and do the actual work. To be self-esteem, right? My self-esteem is so much better even than a year ago. I don't even know when it shifted, but I'm in a place of strength that I have never had in my entire life. I have never had the self-esteem that I have right now. And you would think I would have had it when I lost all of that weight and first started these channels in 2017. You would think my self-esteem would have been on point back then. And listen, I could tell you it was, but my choices don't agree with that. The choices that I made back then don't show that I had high self esteem. I was still living in an illusion and I was completely paralyzed by fear. Strong back then. I knew my life was not authentic. I knew I was talking about authenticity all the time, but my life was actually, I was actually trapped in a lot of fear. And my self esteem then, I would say, was about a 5. I did what, Angie? I, I, I don't, tell me what you're talking about since you're here. Hey, cousin. um, so my self esteem was about a 5 back then. Like I knew I was cute, and that I'd lost the weight and that sort of thing, but I didn't think I just. This is what it was. I did not think I deserved anything more than what I had. And I was very trapped in that cycle all the time. And I used religion to support my beliefs. I would tell myself things like, um, oh, you did share it. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Angie. I would tell myself, this is what you deserve because look at what you did, back then. You did that thing and this is what you got. And now you need to deal with it and your reward is in heaven. And I'm going to say that again, just in case there's anyone who has that struggle. The situation that I was in, I would tell myself I deserved everything that was happening to me because of something that I had done years ago. I deserve this. I have to sit in this and deal with it, and my reward is coming in heaven. All the time, I was telling myself that. Meanwhile, I was miserable, felt like I was dying inside. My self esteem was like a 5, and it was reinforced to me by others. Okay. And I agreed with them. I didn't even argue back against it. Let me tell you something, baby. When I tell you right now, I'm a 9.5. Okay. Yeah, I would give myself a 9.5. But ask yourself that. Where's your self-esteem on the scale? And it could be your self-esteem relevant to whatever it is you're blaming yourself for here, or it could be your self-esteem relevant to just in general. Okay. So listen to this. Number 3, peep number 3. I lovingly recognize and accept my feelings and judge them no more. Okay. You got to be honest. Do you accept your feelings regarding the situation? Are you still judging yourself? Are you skeptic? Or whatever it is. Okay. 4A, I own my feelings. No one can make me feel anything. My feelings are a reflection of how I see the situation. So I'm willing on this now, but this is because I've done a lot of work, you guys. One day I need to just talk about the things that I've done. But I do own my feelings now. No one can make me feel anything. I'm very settled in myself, and I don't feel the need to prove it to anybody who thinks because I say something crazy one day I'm not healed, or I don't care. Like it's taken me a long time to get free. Regarding the situation, I am feeling part guilt over what I've done and part shame, remorse over who I am or have become. I feel like I need to get this to scoot over, but you can see the rest of that word. Okay. And so for that one right there, you would write down the percentage of guilt and the percentage of shame. Those two are cousins. Okay. Well, they're siblings, really. Guilt and shame go hand in hand. When you feel guilty, you feel some shame about it too. All right. And that I lived in that cycle for 30 years of guilt and shame and shame and guilt and guilt and shame and shame and guilt over the choices that I had made. and how I lived my life. And it drove so many bad decisions, so many. And I don't believe anymore in fear, guilt, or shame. I think they're of the devil. And I think that that's one of the things that has concerned me about spiritually, is that I believe that a lot of religious teachings specialize in shame and making you feel shameful. And it causes people to hide, not feel safe. Like that's a whole nother sermon. All right. So is my guilt over my parenting or lack of parenting of my children appropriate or inappropriate? Should I feel guilty about that? I'm more healed now doing this. So, and again, I am still going to do this now that I've realized, yes, I need to do more self forgiveness around my parenting. But my guilt over it, I know it's now inappropriate. I can't feel guilty anymore. And I freed myself. And one of the reasons why this is so important, y'all, for anyone who's struggling with adult children and wishing you had parented them differently, it's inappropriate, because not only can you not change it, but you will overdo and enable your adult children because you feel guilty about what you did not give them during the child rearing years. And all you're doing is repeating the same cycle with them. It's not helping them at all. It's not benefiting them at all. I have a saying on my wall. I wish I could read it from here, but I can't. I can't read it. But it basically says that you when you block people from their suffering, you block their ability to heal themselves, to fix their own problems, because you're coming in saving the day all the time. You're creating a pattern now of codependency with the adult children, thinking that they'll get better. The only thing you can do is heal yourself and allow that to change and dictate how you interact with them. And it will still be rocky. Okay. One of my children is upset with me right now, as I've created boundaries. People who benefit from you not having boundaries are not going to be happy that they can't do and function in your life the same way. Um, and so you have to do the work to get rid of the guilt so that you're not functioning and making decisions from a place of guilt all the time, because people will take advantage of that. They know you feel guilty and they will pile on the guilt trips on you. And because you're in that cycle and because you're unhealed, every time they pile on and make you feel guilty about what you didn't do when they were little, or whoever, it could be a partner. You made one mistake and they keep bringing it up all the time, taking you in this cycle of guilt. Once you forgive yourself, no one can put you in that anymore. And so when you say, how did you free yourself, Angie? Let me tell you, it was a process that has taken me, I would say, 2 full years. I felt free in January of this year, but 2023 was absolutely, it was like joy. I had joy overload from the freedom of not being in a toxic relationship anymore. But then underneath that, there was so much destruction all around me with my children and whatever. And so I buried it. Um, I just buried all my feelings about it, but I also was doing work. So I did individual therapy. I did some spiritual work with one of my favorite teachers, but I drowned myself in all of that because I finally saw my pattern and said, I don't want to keep repeating this. I promise you, if I hadn't done this work, I would be in another toxic relationship right now. And even the relationship that I had post divorce was not toxic at all. It was wonderful. He was a wonderful guy, and we have a great friendship. Even right now, I have not a word. I told him the other day I would never have a negative word to say about you. He treated me like I deserve to be treated and showed me I'm worthy. And he was a major factor in my healing. And I thank God for him. And, the part of me wishes that it had worked out romantically, but a part of me knows exactly why it didn't. And it proved to me that you can have something that doesn't work, but it doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be get ugly, and the person can have can you I could deal I could I learned that, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling with my words. I learned that I can attract a partner who will be faithful to me, a partner who will treat me well, and build me up. It was almost like somebody gave him a handbook of all the ways I'd been mistreated before. I felt like he knew way more of my business than I told him. Like he was going down a checklist, and he affirmed my body. He told me that I was brilliant. He would affirm me if I had a bad day and spoil me. Like all the things that I hadn't received, I got there. And so that also contributed. But a lot of it was the fact that I dug in, I did the work. I cried. I cried for 2 years straight. I'd been holding in tears for a very long time. But the top way you free yourself is by getting to know yourself and being honest about who you are, strengths and the challenging sides of yourself. And when people share things with you about yourself, don't be so quick to get in your feelings. Okay, I understand what you're saying, and then sit with it and ask yourself, am I really like that? And maybe even confirm it with somebody else. But you got to be open to really looking at yourself. And that's what most people don't want to do, honestly. But what you don't know is you're operating from those triggers all the time. Every time somebody steps on something that you've been labeled with before, and it's something that you haven't acknowledged yourself, but you're responding on it. It could be a random Facebook post that ain't about you at all, but somebody posted it, you think they're talking about you, and so now you are triggered in that way. That can show you something that you need to address and work on. And once you own it and acknowledge that that's how I am, you have a choice. Either that's how I am and I'm going to stay that way, or I'm going to change the behavior. But if you know that's who you are and you accept it about yourself and you're not insecure about it anymore, you're much less likely to be triggered when people attack you on those things. And that's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm done. This is who I this is who I am at this point. If you don't like how I'm showing up, maybe we don't need to be in each other's company. And I'm free. But before, I was a people pleaser. I needed to be liked. I needed to be thought well of. I don't want to offend anyone. I was overdoing all of that and accomplishing very little. So, okay, I don't think we're going to go through this whole thing. How am I doing on time? And if you come in late, make sure that you go back to the beginning, because you need to see the fear mind mapping that I showed, so that you can also start doing some mind mapping. Okay, is your guilt over it appropriate? All right, number 6, as I really examine how I feel about myself, I realize that underlying my fears of my feeling of shame, there is a belief or a set of beliefs I hold about myself that isn't true. Myself that are not true. My self-judgments have been based in what others, particularly my parents, saw in me and taught me about myself. Oh, that's a lot. Let me go down here so I can see if I can move this over. Yes. I just want to make sure you can see all of that. Let's go back up to that. And I'm going to read that one more time. As I really examine how I feel about myself, I realize that underlying my feeling of shame, there's a belief or a set of beliefs I hold about myself that are not true. My self-judgments have been based in what others, particularly my parents, saw in me and taught me about myself. So that's going to be a strong one for you to sit with. For one thing, it can be hard for some people to see anything critical in their parents, and then you have other people who are overly critical of their parents and blame them for everything. But there are things that your parents may have told you or saw in you, etc., that cause you to judge yourself. It could have been maybe too much pressure on you. It could have been not enough direction that you received. And so you have to sit with that. I have done the work, and I know that a lot of my mothering and my lack of maternal but my lack of maternal nurturing has definitely had a negative impact on my children. And it came from a long line of non-maternal women. My mother is not maternal. My grandmother is not maternal. My mother's sister was not maternal. It actually my mother's sister told me when I had, I guess, my third kid, that she wasn't going to come to help me when he was born. She was like, I'll be there when he's older. They've just owned it, that they're not maternal. And I resonate with what one of my spiritual teachers says. I wasn't a good mother, but I was an excellent father. hmm Because I was raised mostly by my father. My mother was very psychologically absent from me. She and I have been working on that, and we're getting much better. However, I was raised on the masculine, like a lot of masculine energy. And that's one of the other things I was able to work on in my relationship post divorce, because he was strong masculine. And I found that I loved it. And I loved not having to be in charge all the time and lead all the things. I was like, okay, he running it, I'm running around in it. Loved it. And I know that that's something that I desire in a future partner as well. And it's something that I did not have in my marriage. I felt like I had to be in charge of everything. And I was made to feel that it's because I was just bossy or trying to control everything. And that I knew it was never true. And I was able to prove that to myself, and realize I can just rest and be in my, feminine energy, that phrase that's going around everywhere, because I had someone who was fully capable and didn't need me to manage them or anything. So now, underneath that question, 7 through 13, you are asking yourself, you are inquiring patiently. Be patient with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Don't give up. The work is in completing this, right? So you'll want to ask yourself these questions. And there's no wrong answer, because you are learning about yourself. I now realize that what I judge in others represents what I hate about myself and have repressed and projected onto them. I could close us right there, because that one is going to be so hard for so many people. What I judge in others represents what I hate about myself and have repressed and projected onto them. That's a topic. The only reason why you see it in them is because there's something like that in you. That's it. That's why you noticed it. That's why you jump on it and you reply to that comment and say what you said or whatever, because there's something in here. And it could be that you used to be that way and you're not anymore. So you hate it when you see it from somebody else, right? So go through this. Answer these questions honestly. Answer these questions. Be honest with yourself. People I dislike are therefore reflecting what I need to love and accept in myself. Yes. People I dislike are therefore reflecting what I need to love and accept in myself. Does this mean every person that you dislike or every trait that you see? Don't do that, because you're already talking yourself out of the assignment. So don't look for, oh, I'm not that. We don't want to see the bad in ourselves, right? And then some of us, which was my problem, all I see is the bad in myself. All I see is that I'm the problem. That's something that I've been dealing with lately, and well, my awareness has changed, because I realized that from the time I was a child, I was told I'm the problem. I'm too difficult. My father used to say, you'll never be satisfied. And I carried that line with me my entire life. Well, I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm never satisfied. And what I took from that is I want too much. And since I'm never going to be satisfied anyway, I might as well take what's being offered here. And so when I was then in a marriage where I was told that I couldn't have certain things and be treated a certain way because I hadn't done enough yet, I hadn't earned enough done enough to earn that, I actually agreed with that and thought it's true, because I'm a problem and I'm never satisfied. And so I would make these elaborate lists. I have documentation. Okay. Some of it would make me sound like I'm not even going to explain it fully, but I would document like all the things. Okay, I'm going to ask you about your day. I'm going to do this. There's a lot of energy I was expending. And then I would say, I would work on that for, several weeks or whatever, and come back and say, okay, I've been trying these things. Have you noticed anything? No, not really. That's the response I would get, right? So I would feel like this feels hopeless, but I still always thought I was the problem. Even when I filed and everything, I felt so guilty, like I'm abandoning this person, and the shame and the church and all of these things. It wasn't until I started doing this work that I realized I never had to earn any of that. Let me tell you that you don't have to earn the right to be treated well in a relationship. Now, you need to be your best self, right? But a person is going to treat you how they're going to treat you based on who they are. because you could be a great person, but if you're dealing with someone who is a certain way, like a cheater, if you're dealing with a cheater, baby, he gonna cheat. A cheater gonna cheat. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how many tricks you perform. If he's a cheater, he's still gonna do it. And that's the clearest example I can think of. Okay. Number 10. I'm gonna skip to number 10 because I'm not gonna cover all of these. This one is so important. I now realize that nothing I or anyone else has done is either right or wrong. I drop all judgment. So that's for you to investigate yourself. Some people are having a reaction to that right now. I can say that was wrong. But the truth is, what other people do, it's their choice to do. They can do whatever they want, just like you can. And sometimes we're not exercising our right to do whatever we want. So we're mad at what the other person is doing. They can do whatever they want. Doesn't mean that you have to deal with it. Doesn't mean that you have to stay. I have come to a place after lots of work where I respect a person's right to do whatever it is that they want to do. And then I choose how I'm going to react to that and respond and what I'm willing to tolerate. All right. So we're going, I'm coming up on time. I've already been on here longer than I planned, but go through the rest of this, and by the time you get to the end, you are completely forgiving yourself. You're doing a note to yourself. And then after you did the worksheet, circle where your self-esteem is now. Okay. You may need to do this more than once on the same issue. And I would encourage you to be gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself. And if you need to do it you could even do it, you could space it out. You could do it 1 week, let it sit. And then in a week later or at some later time, do it about the same issue. Continue to be honest with yourself and see if you have made any progress. Okay. All right. That was a lot. And so we are definitely going to take a breath on that and close out. I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful for your time. I hope that this is helpful. Let me rephrase that. I know it's helpful, y'all. This is good. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. If I could just get everyone to do this, the world would be a better place. And focus on ourselves. You want to get design the life you love. You got to focus on yourself, not other people and what they're doing and what other stuff is going on and your children. That is such a distraction for so many women. You can be a much better mother if you focus on yourself. And let me say this before we go into the breath work. The reason why it's so important to heal yourself if you are a mother is because you will heal your whole legacy. Even those adult children and all the mistakes that you made, I am confident that if I continue to work on myself instead of lecturing my daughter, she will become changed over time. She has to, because she's bone of my bone. She's from my blood. She's flesh of my flesh. She has no choice but to eventually come around into this. I can't change people that I didn't give birth to, or even this would apply to an adopted child as well. Right. But I can't change people out there, and I can't even make my children change. But I choose to believe that by me working on myself, it will impact those who are closest to me. And if nothing else, you'll be better for it. Okay. So settle in. We're going to do we're going to do 3 breaths. We're going to do 3 breaths. Thank you so much, cousin. The podcast is on Sundays, but I've added in a Wednesday night, just 1-to-1 for other topics. All right. So we're going to settle in. When you settle in, make sure that your spine is erect. See how I'm not like this. Okay. We want everything to flow freely. So spine is erect, kind of push your back up, or you can pretend like something is pulling you upward. Okay. But your shoulders should be relaxed, not tight. Relax your shoulders. You need this. You need all 3 breaths. Trust me. There was a lot of information shared today around your fears, mapping out your fears. What are you afraid of? You can't get to the life you love with the fear. And your worst fear is almost never going to happen, but it will keep you paralyzed and stuck for years. And so we need this breath work to take the quiet and absorb all of this information. And you're going to need the breath work just for what we touched on with the self-forgiveness worksheet. And I want you to be gentle with yourself and take this time right now for you. All right. No one needs anything from you. Just relax. And we're going to do box breaths, inhaling for 4 through the nose, hold for 4, and exhale through your mouth. I'm going to count the first one. I'm going to count the second one. And the third one I'm going to do with you so that I can get that all in as well. Okay. All right. So just relax. Your belly might have tightened while I was talking. So go ahead and relax your belly. Relax your hands. Just place them on your lap. Feet flat on the floor, not crossed. Relax your tongue in your mouth. And you can feel your breath. And we're inhaling through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. And just relax. You can probably hear my clock ticking in the background, which is really great for breath work and counting as well. Just relax. We're going to take a second breath in a second. Someone is rushing off to do something else, or the mind is racing, thinking about the next thing you need to do. And I would encourage you to just be here right now in this moment, because as my spiritual teacher says, there's a part of you that wants to change, and there's a part of you that doesn't. And the part of you that doesn't is reminding you of other things right now and taking you away from what you need in this moment. So let's just relax. And inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. I need to get my timing in order with the clock. Just relax, relax, relax. The last breath I'm taking with you. We're doing the same thing, inhaling for 4, holding for 4, and exhale. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed, spine is still erect. We are removing all distractions from our mind. We are thinking instead about the beautiful future that is in front of us, where we're not living with the fear of failure. We're not living with the fear of success. We are living in our purpose as we were created to be. And we're inhaling. And exhale. Hopefully you closed your eyelids. I forgot to say that. Take a moment to gather yourself and open those eyelids. All right. Listen, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Please make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel as well, which is also Coach Cara, so that you can help me grow my numbers there. Listen, my fear of success is leaving. That's why I haven't been promoting this show very much, or the Sunday show. I haven't been sharing. I haven't been cutting it into reels, just treating it like a hobby, even though I know that this is my calling. I don't know what for. However, I do know that I'm on assignment right now. And so I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I love you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will put the link to these resources in the chat. Okay.